Okay, so today's progress report. I've been working on performance, a little bit of stuff. I had to update my images. All the images I'm using were all way too big. Some of them were almost 2 megabytes in size. Their dimensions are all the same, 1024 by 1024 or smaller. Said a lot of them ended up being close to 2, if not even close to 3 megabytes in some cases. So I downloaded a tool called PNG Goo, which is a utility that wraps around another utility called PNG Quant. The PNG Quant is a command line tool that lets you do like a batch update of a bunch of image files, PNGs, and turn them into smaller PNGs, and it just compresses them better, makes them more efficient. My images were not complex. I'm using a lot of low poly images that are just, kind of cartoon colors, and they just didn't need all that. So all my plays, my coaches, my players, and my logos, 200 or so images, were just way too big. Now, other efficiencies I did that were causing me some consternation was I had like a double load of images going on. I had to clean that up, so that stopped happening. I implemented some other minor changes that were suggested by AI to try to reduce calls. Like one of the things I was doing was I was putting a delay on the progress bar, so it looks like it was happening rather than just going bam like that. Turns out bam like that is actually not really going to happen. So there's a natural delay. So you can see it's still going. It moves pretty quick, but it's way faster now. It's almost instantaneous. Plus, of course, my images are smaller. Other things I had to get in there was I've been kind of replacing all my buttons to be the same so they fit the theme of the game. They were all kind of like a darker brown. They just kind of looked more, they were still designed to fit the original aesthetic of lifelike, like Lord of the Rings, where everything seemed, it had that subdued yellowish color and it looked good. But if I had decided to go with my original plan of high detailed models that were going to be super high resolution, hyper realistic stuff, and it would have probably looked kind of cool, but it would have also been a huge drag on the PC. It would have been difficult to model them because you would expect more out of the character models. Plus, I like the look of just a more kind of cartoon look. The depth, this it just seems more fun, more energy, more like a game. It does feel like this is a little bit more responsive, that's for sure. This seemed to be slower before. The game plan. Now this is one that again, there's no game plan in here. The game has its own, but this is for the user to actually create. So this is basically the start game. What happens at the start of the game? First, if it's first and 10, we're less than 99 yards to go, which is basically every possible first and 10 scenario you could have at the start of the game. And minutes left just means anything 15 minutes or less. So this would cover every first down in the entire game right here. This covers them all. This is the kind of thing that the default game engine has, or the default game plan has. That's not a good logic, but it makes sure that every play in the game is covered. You see that I have this personnel selections. This is supposed to be bound to the player's plays that they have in the system. And I got to fix that coloring. I do not like that white dialogue. But ultimately, what's happening is when I actually adjust this button, all my personnel selections go away, which is normal because there are no plays in this person's playbook. So it has to take what it can get. So it says pass short. I go to confirm, it puts pass short in here. Now select favored plays is also another thing I need to work on. When you click here, it'll open up a similar dialog to this one, except it's going to show you all the plays that in your playbook that have a pass short setting. So then you can just pick which one of those pass shorts you would rather it call. So again, to give you a background of what the game plan is actually defined for in my game, you don't actually get to create a game plan that says, do this all the time in this situation. What you're doing is you're giving it an option in this situation, these are the play types I would like you to call. If you put favored play in, it'll say, this is the play I would like you to call. But think of it more like you're the GM, and the GM is suggesting to the coach, this is what I want you to do. This is the game plan I would like you to incorporate into your strategy. Now, every coach has a what do you call it? A play calling influence, and you can see that this is kind of set here. So this coach, Brian Stewart, has a GM influence of 60%. What this means is when he's calling a play, he'll consider the plays that you put into your game plan in that situation. If that, so say, okay, we have a search situation. Any 1st and 10 in the game that's less than 99 yards, it's going to grab from the user's playbook. If one exists, that covers it. So if you put a play in there that covers every situation, it'll always come up. And he gives a 60% influence to the GM. Some coaches give a lot less, like they could give as little as 5 or 10%. But the more experienced coaches are less likely to give as much coaching influence. Now the offensive coordinator is the other person he gives some influence to, which means he's going to take into account what he wants, or the DC. In this case, he doesn't give much influence at all to the DC on defensive plays. So what's going to happen is there'll be 4 plays. There will be 1 from the GM, or 2 from you, the GM, and then 1 from him and 1 from the OC. And then it'll be broke down by the percentages, and he'll pick one of those based on those percentage influences. So there's a 60% chance that he's going to call one of the players' plays, and your plays are defined 100% by the play types you set. So if you only set 1 play type, it'll pick 2 plays for you, and then 1 for the coach and 1 for the OC. Now, if he has a play calling influence for the OC and DC that are less than 50%, he may not even pick an OC or DC play. That's a condition that'll pull it into the playbook. So anyway, these are the influence. So he's more likely, then he is more likely to adjust the playbook according to this kind of setup. So how many run plays will he have in there? How many bounce, or how many? He's kind of balanced on his offense, and he leans more on defense towards the run defenses. Now, all defenses are by nature offense and are run and pass, but what this does is it sets an aggressiveness on those plays for defensive. So if there's plays that have aggressive state, he's going to have more of those in if it leans for his run. So aggressively run, aggressively pass are different than balanced. So, and it just kind of leans these in each direction. So it kind of helps control how that flow of the game is going to go. Now, why would you want a coach that doesn't give you a lot of influence over the game plan? One, you don't want to set your own game plan. You just want to hire the coach and the players and manage the staff, and you want to just handle the team management. You want to let the coach do his job. That's one reason why you wouldn't do it. The second option is you wouldn't. You might want those more successful coaches because maybe they have, or not. I'm sorry, the more experienced coaches, because maybe they've got a pretty good win-loss record. So one of the things about this is on the backside, it's going to keep track of their win-loss record. So you see that this is 0-0-0 because none of these guys have played. If they have a pretty good win-loss record, remember these coaches they all have an AI in them, or an AI game logic that has them updating and adjusting their game plan throughout existence. So every game that they play will improve the game plan. Now, if you just get started, it doesn't mean that coach is dumb because if the longer this game exists, all of the coaches for, like, say, Brian Stewart, if he exists in the system and he's on 20 people's teams throughout the system, or maybe there's one that's on 100 or 500 teams. They all adjust their game plans. And as those game plans improve and get better, they have a root game plan. Every time one's created, every time a new Brian Stewart ends up on another league, he's going to get the root game plan. But now the progression of all those players, if they have successful situations, are going to migrate to that root. So every new iteration of Brian Stewart theoretically should be getting stronger. But there are rules in the system to keep them from getting too good at rookie level or too good at veteran level, or you want them to get as good as possible in the pro levels. Like the rookie one doesn't update as often. It only grabs from coaches in the rookie levels, and so on and so forth. But in the veteran, it's veteran and lower. They update their playbook more frequently. Things get updated more often, and there will be adjustments quicker. So in theory, those plays start to match up better, and they start to have better outcomes as far as how good the team is. That's going to be one of those migrating, that's going to be something that sets up throughout the life of the game. It'll continue to improve. What I'm going to be doing is building a lot of those roots and stuff, even in development mode. I plan to run some automated games once I get all the games going. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow the system to generate and improve all those root game plans before I even go to production. So they're going to be better than stupid, better than the default when I go to production. Now, how much better, I don't know. And also, some coaches might have more success because they have better players on their team, but that's why we look at all the coaches. So just because one coach is highly successful with his game plan, that same coach on another team might not be as successful because he's coach of a terrible team. But ultimately it's the overall set of coaches, the grand variety of them throughout the whole system, that's going to, it's like, all right, what's the most common thing here that is more successful? Anything that's more successful on the whole, that one's going to get sucked into the root, allowing for the next version of the coach to be a little bit smarter, have a little bit better play. The idea is that what's a good playbook, game plan, for each new iteration of that coach. And even the default, at some point, I may have it pull stuff like from the roots so that it gets a little bit better. But again, it'll be different from the rookies and the veterans and the pros, because I want the default to not be too terrible. And as a player, you're going to be having your coach helping your team out. All right, so you don't have to have a game plan. He's going to be constantly improving, constantly doing more. He's not going to be making those same really bad judgment play calls that the default does. The default's purpose is just to make sure the game always has a valid play to call. And that's really all it's really meant to do, is make sure that the game can't I don't know what to do. There's no plays. So that's really all it's done. It's there for. Now, eventually, this playbook, you see here as the coach, when you have an OC and a DC, they'll be on that list too. There'll be an OC, our coach at the top, OC and a DC as well. Also, you'll be able to do things like you'll be able to edit some of these things. So I'm trying to decide how roster management is going to work, but ultimately I may have another menu bar up here that's going to include things like check free agency, trade for new player, that kind of thing. And you'll be able to kind of go through and find more. I'm going to also adjust these plays here so that, or I'm sorry, all the stats, because you see there's a lot of stats. This is all the stats every player can have. Like you've seen a lot of games, every player gets all the stats, because you could actually drag, assuming that my stuff is all working here, you could actually take a player from here and, assuming my click is, right now it's not working. I don't have I'm trying to decide. I thought it was just click and hold. Nope. Okay, so it's not going to let me do it. Here you can adjust your depth chart. I've made enough changes on these things to. I can move him over here, and that puts him at the first receiver position. So it kind of readjusts that player. So you've upgraded him. There's some touchiness on there. I'll get that worked out. We'll figure out a good, clean way to make sure everything responds. Again, this game's going to be playable on PC and mobile. And as such, I got to make sure that every version of this can work both with the mouse and with the touch. I should be able to like. Yeah, it's not working for the touch. It's on my device here, but oh, there it goes. Okay, so I can drag it with my finger, but because of the sideways dragging and the vertical dragging, it makes it hard to not accidentally drag the screen when you're dragging the player, and that's things I have to work out. We'll get there. Again, we are getting close here. I gotta fix my dollar. What I've been doing is cleaning up images. So what the heck? What are you guys barking at? I've been cleaning up images so they could all be consistent, and I don't have a bunch of extra stuff in my app, so it shrinks the footprint. I had a bunch of old images in there, and I've been slowly converting them all to this new style. This is the League Play one. It still has to be converted. You can see it's a couple of icons. That's not supposed to be showing yet. Till next time. I will get some more stuff fixed, and let me know what you think. God bless.